Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Join me every week. I release new episodes every Tuesday. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle. And now that I listen to that intro, I need to redo it and add in Psych K. I'll just redo the intro to my to-do list, the never-ending to-do list. How are you all doing? I hope you're having a good week. I will be honest with you guys, this past 10 days has been a weird energy. There's a funk, there's a vibe. I've been feeling low energy. I've just had enough. And I think as we approach the 1 year of lockdown, the first lockdown, this is our last normal week, and we didn't even know it 1 year ago today. It's getting harder and harder to stay positive and motivated and find joy in things. So this week I feel like I'm running below 50% for sure. So I'm not sure how you guys are feeling, but hopefully this energy will pass. I feel like we're on a slow up and up, but nothing major. They reopened gyms in Alberta, which made me happy and then sad because we have to wear a mask and it's low intensity only. And you guys know that I'm a CrossFitter, so you can't really CrossFit at low intensity. But we're just going to do some slow bodybuilding things and get strong. At least I don't have to work out in my bedroom anymore, trying to find the positive side. I'm excited for warmer weather and daylight savings time. There's a new moon this week, so we'll see what happens with the energy shift. But if you're feeling that way, just know that you are not alone. And it's a vibe right now. It's a low vibe. So it's interesting, as I was pulling the cards for this week right before I came on, I was like, what are the cards going to tell us today? What are they going to let us know? So I'm going to get to that in a moment, but today I wanted to offer some helpful information. I've been noticing a theme around my appointments, around DMs that I've been getting, around messages that I've been receiving, and it all kind of has the same theme. So I thought I would share this story today in order to give you some tools to work with your intuition, stay connected, stay grounded. But before we jump into all of that, I do want to tell you about the March meeting in the middle. I'm very excited about this meeting. It's going to be more workshop style. So it's an hour and a half this time, and it's more interactive. It is going to be about how to use a pendulum. You guys said you wanted to learn how to use a pendulum. If you don't have one, you can use a necklace with something heavy on the end. You can get a pendulum for not very much money, maybe $10. If you don't have a pendulum and you're using a necklace, I'm going to teach you how to find your pendulum in the course as well. So whatever you have will work for the course, just so that I can teach you. And then you'll have a little workbook that you can take home and work with. But that is happening on Thursday, March 25th, and it is a little earlier. So it's 5 p.m. to 6:30 Mountain Standard Time. It's an hour and a half. You can register with the link down in the show notes. If you can't make it live, the replay is sent to everybody, so you will have a copy no matter what, and then you can always go back and review it, re-listen to it. Everybody gets a copy of the presentation as well, which will be more like a workbook style. So usually it's a presentation, but because we're going workshop style on this one, it's going to be more like a little book for you. I'm very excited because tonight I am going into a medium named Breeze Place for Woo tonight. She has a monthly membership and we're doing a group reading together live via Zoom tonight for her members. So I'm excited for that. I'm sure it'll be a podcast episode to come, but really looking forward to sharing that with you guys and meeting her crew. I'm really excited to kind of get out there. This will be my first ever Zoom meeting reading tonight. Reading on Zoom meeting reading, whatever we want to call it. So let's get to the cards and see what they have for us today before I jump into today's topic. I pulled 2 cards again, and I think it's the same that I did last week. Colette Baron Reid, the Enchanted Map deck. This one was interesting. As I was shuffling, this card literally jumped out of the deck and fell onto the floor. So I think that means it's screaming at us. And when I went down to pick up the card and read it, I chuckled because the card is slow and steady. Number 12. Slow and steady wins the race. Remember the old cliche, slow and steady wins the race? This is a time for easy movement, unhurried steps, and a steady heart. Trust that taking life at a more leisurely pace will give you greater access to your dreams. Slowing down allows more contact with the juicier elements in your life. Savor them. This so fits this week. And it's interesting, I did an Akashic Record reading this week, and one of the references that they used to describe something was they said you can't slam on the gas and slam on the brakes at the same time. You're not going to move anywhere if you do that. And I was like, wow, like the client probably needed to hear that, but I also needed to hear that because in life, like we want to go so fast, so we want to slow down and enjoy, but we want to plan ahead. We want to be present. So I feel like for me, definitely this week has been like slowing down and speeding up and slowing down and speeding up and trying to find that balance. So interesting that this card jumped out. And then the second card that I pulled was from the Rebecca Campbell Work Your Light Oracle card book. And it's funny, I pulled the same card as last week 3 times. So I guess we needed to know that, but I kept shuffling until I got a different one. And then I pulled the card Birthing a New Age. Birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. Often our path is exactly the one that we don't feel prepared to walk. Walk it anyway. Often what is rising feels far bigger than we could possibly hold. Be a container for it anyway. Often our creations seem to have a wild, uncontrollable consciousness of their own. Birth them anyways. Often what is ours to do is the very thing that most intimidates us. Be courageous and do it anyways. We are birthing a new age. Right now we're in a transition period between ages, in the process of allowing the old cycle to fall away and the new to rise. Like driving in the fog and trusting the road will appear ahead, we need to release old identities and ways that no longer serve us, using our intuition as a compass. You are part of a group of souls who have been incarnating at significant periods of history preparing for this exact time. Dreaming a new world into being. Witches, mystics, healers, seers, artists, midwives, visionaries, guardians of the earth, and storytellers from times past. It is time to give permission and space for what is beckoning within to be born. We are dreaming a new world into being. The Work Your Light activation. I am open to surrendering to the creations that are wanting to be birthed through me. May I be of service in a way that delights my mind, body, and soul. Please use me, please lead me, please show me the way. Ooh, interesting message here. So card 12, slow and steady, and then birthing a new age. This definitely fits in with what we're going to be talking about today. And I just think the vibe and the energy of this week, the cards always just know. That's why I love to pull them and get a little guidance. It's like, what do we need to know right now? What do we need confirmed? And this was it this week. If you are an iTunes user, I would love, and appreciate a rating and a review. It really helps me out in the podcast world to grow Medium in the Middle. I want to grow this podcast this year. It is one of my biggest goals. So your reviews and ratings really help me, and just know that I appreciate you. And if you've written one, thank you so much. I read them all and I smile and I do a little happy dance. I appreciate all of your feedback and reviews. So I wanted to tell a story this week. I had a few ideas of what the podcast could be, but based on the energy this past week, based off of the common themes in my DMs and messages, and even in the Akashic Records the past week, there's always a theme for the week. It's always collectively we're going through something, we're experiencing something. And I actually was dreaming and I woke up and I was like, oh my God, this is the story I need to tell this week. So this story was first shared in the February meeting in the middle when we were talking about how to listen to the universe. This was my big story that I shared to show and teach people how to listen to their intuition, how to learn how to trust your gut, that inner knowing, that voice inside. So I told this story, which I will tell you now. So this happened many years ago. I want to say at least 7 years ago. It was my first time in Banff, and I didn't have a car yet out west. So I would go to Calgary once every few months, go shopping, groceries, whatever you need. And when we went to Calgary, we would just rent a car and go for the day, get everything you need. It would be like a 12-hour day, come home with the car packed to the brim. And that's just what we would do every few months. You go stock up on a bunch of groceries, get new pants, whatever you needed, and come home. For those of you who don't know, I live in Banff, and it's about an hour and a half from Calgary, which is the nearest big city. We are a little small town. We don't have like a mall or a Walmart or anything. We do have like small grocery stores, and then the next town over, there's a few more stores, and it's just, if you needed a laundry list of things, it's just worth it to go to the city. I always rented the smallest car. Number one, because it was the cheapest. Number two, because it was the cheapest on gas. And number three, because I could park it easily. And when you're going to Calgary with, 10 different stops you got to make, it's good to just be able to pull in, pull out, get what you need, and go. And I went bright and early to go get the car because I knew it was going to be a 12-hour day. So you got to go early because things close at 9 o'clock. It's an hour and a half drive there, an hour and a half drive home. Then you have to be mindful of all your stops and where you're going to go last and what closes at 7 and what closes at 9. So I went to go get my car bright and early, and I'm not a morning person, so I'm there half asleep. And the man says to me, Steph, we don't have any small cars left. All I have is a brand new Dodge Ram truck. He's like, do you want that? And I was like, no. I booked the smallest car possible because I need a small car. I was like, I don't want to be driving and parking a Ram all day. That would just be too much. And then gas is going to be insane. I have a lot of places to go. And I was like, no, I don't want the Ram. He was like, okay, well, the only other thing I would have would be a minivan, but you'd have to at least wait 30 minutes or an hour for that. And I was like, okay, I'll wait. And he was like, really? And then he's like, just take the Ram. It's brand new. You're going to love it. And I was like, no, I'll wait. And then I'm waiting. And then after 15 minutes, I'm running into my time of how long I'm going to need to be in Calgary. So I said, okay, fine. Just give me the Ram. I'll just take it. I like trucks. He's like, okay. So he sets me all up, and I just had this pit in my stomach that was like, don't take the Ram. Don't take it. Don't do it. But I was like, whatever. I'm going to take the car. So I went, and you had to go get the car from the parking garage that was behind the building. So I'm walking towards the parking garage, and it was almost like my feet stopped walking. A few times I remember just halting in place, and it was I wasn't able to move forward anymore. And my mind was just telling me, turn around, just wait 30 minutes for another smaller car. Don't go. And I was like, no, I need to get to Calgary. Now I'm late already. I got to get on the road. And I kept walking towards the parking garage. And then at one point, I remember I was walking up the stairs, and there was a lot of stairs. I was walking up the stairs, and I was like, no, I'm not taking the Ram. I'm turning around and going to get it. And I walked all the way down the stairs. And then when I got to the bottom of the stairs, I was like, no, you're crazy. You have the Ram. Just get in the car. Stop wasting time. So then I went all the way back up the stairs, get into the car, just have the worst feeling. It's in a parking garage. The Ram is high up. It's brand new. I still remember it had 1,400 kilometers on it. 1,400 or 14,000, but I remember 14. And I remember it was in the parking garage, so it was really close to the roof. And I thought that I was going to hit the roof, and then backing out, I had to back out and come back in 3 different times because it was so tight where it was parked. And I was just thinking, this is exactly why I don't want a Ram. So I came out of the parking garage, and I turned, and you have to drive past the office again. And I was like, just pull out front and go tell them you don't want this. Just tell them that you don't want it and just wait. And I was like, no, get on the road, Steph. What are you doing? And it was my intuition was screaming at me not to take this car, not to go on the road. So, of course, I'm driving out of Banff, and I'm turn around, turn around, turn around. And then half of my brain is no, get going. You need to go to Calgary. We have groceries. We have a list of things we need. And I just felt this pit in my stomach. I was squeezing onto the steering wheel, trying to relax, trying to enjoy the car. I'm like, I love trucks. Why aren't I just enjoying this? So then I get on the highway and I'm like thinking that the past is behind me and I can just continue on my way. And still this feeling in my gut is telling me to turn around. And the town next to Banff is called Canmore, and there's 3 highway exits. And I remember on each exit, I was like, turn around on this one, turn around on this one, turn around on this one. Because after that, there's not really a spot that you can turn around that's safe on the highway. And I remember I passed the first one and I was like, no, I'm going to keep going. Like, why do I want to turn around so bad? Like, stop it, Steph. Like, man up. Like, let's go. And then the second one I passed and it was like, turn around. And I was like, no, like, I'm going to Calgary. I'm already an hour late. And then the third one, I was like, I remember passing it and then it was like my stomach dropped. And I was self-talking to myself, being like, you're not turning the car around. You're going to Calgary. You have errands to run. You paid for this car for a day. We have to be back in time. La, 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 la. So, of course, I go to Calgary and I have this pit in my stomach all day. It's like, I just want to get back to Banff. I just want to leave. I go and I had a million stops to do. I had to go to the mall. I had to go to the grocery store. I had to go to Winners. I had to stop at IKEA. I had to go find this little store that I wanted to check out that sold special groceries, all of these things. And all day I was feeling on the edge of an anxiety attack. So finally I'm going to my last place, literally in my mind thinking like, okay, Steph, like you're almost out, you're almost free. And I'm going to the last place and it's like this tiny, weird parking lot. And I find a parking spot to park this Ram. And this is after I've already driven past this little store 3 times because I couldn't figure out how to get into the parking lot. And I go in, I get like 2 things because this specialty store wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And then I get back in the car and I go to pull out and all I hear is, and I was like, what happened? And little did I know, beside me on the parking spot was one of those like yellow poles. So the Ram completely scratched the entire side of the truck because I was trying to get out of the parking spot and I just like ran up against this pole. And I was like, oh my God. And then I went forward and of course all it did was scratch all the way forward because I couldn't get off of the pole. So I literally just had to drive away with it hitting the whole side of the pole. And then I just went into a full-blown panic attack, finally pulled over at a gas station, burst into tears, looked at the side of the car. It's a mess. This is the first accident I've ever gotten into. I was completely fine, but the car was absolutely not. I remember calling the insurance. I remember calling the car rental place, crying, and I was like, I knew I shouldn't have gone. I knew I shouldn't have gone. I knew I was going to get into a car accident. I knew something bad was going to happen. Why didn't I just turn around? I'm so dumb. Why didn't I listen to my intuition? Why didn't I la 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 la? I'm like, I knew it. So the whole way home, I was like crying and so angry at myself that I knew this was going to happen. And I didn't listen to myself and I didn't listen to my gut. And I got home and I hadn't eaten all day. And I remember going to the restaurant that I still work at now. And I parked in the back and I had taken all these pictures because insurance told me to take pictures and all these things. And I was sitting at the bar eating food because I hadn't eaten. And I just made it by 10 minutes to get last call for food. And the bartender was like, Steph, like, how was your day? And I was like on the verge of tears. And I was like, I got into my first ever car accident. And they were like, what? And I showed them the picture of the car and they were like, ooh. And I was, yeah, they're like, where's the car? I was like, parked in the back alley right now. I was like, I got to bring it home still. Like, I just hadn't eaten and I didn't know what to do. And I just like had this bad feeling all day. And I remember this day literally as if it was maybe not yesterday, but 6 months ago when it was actually at least 8 years ago. This has to be because I didn't have a car yet in Banff. So ever since that day, the whole point of this story is I now know what my gut feeling is. I now know what my intuition feels like. I now know my yes and no, my left and rights, my this or that. And I also know what happens when I don't listen. So in the meeting, I was saying, don't get into a car accident in order to learn the lesson. But in our lives, everybody is going to have a car accident story, just like this one, where you didn't listen to your intuition You knew you weren't supposed to do something. You did it anyways. Something bad happened and you were like, oh, I should have listened. I should have known. I should have, could have, would have. So how do you learn to work with your intuition? How do you learn to grow this? It's by trusting, but we're all going to have a car accident story. I hope yours is not a car accident. I hope there's no danger or harm that comes to you. But these quote unquote car accident stories can range from something little to something big where you knew you should have done something or didn't do something. You did the opposite and then you reaped the consequences of it. This is how your intuition teaches you. It's like a smack on the wrist. It's like, we told you no, you didn't listen, you did it anyways. Now we're going to show you. Now here's an opportunity for a lesson. Now here's a memory that's going to stick with you forever so that the next time your body is screaming, no, don't do it, guess what, Steph? You're going to listen. So as I was telling this story, a shorter version of it, in the meeting last month, there was people in the comments in the chat group all commenting that they have a similar story as well, where until this thing happened, actually there was like 3 other car accident stories, but other experiences as well, was until this happened, it's like, yes, you don't trust your intuition. You always have that second guessing. You always have that like, why am I feeling this way? Oh, I'll get over it. Oh, pass it by. But then as soon as you have one of these experiences, as soon as you have a car accident experience, you never forget it and you always remember the feeling and you will trust it from then on because it's shown you almost like proof. Like, hey, you didn't believe it last time. Now you should. Here it is. So I wanted to share that with you. Where in your life have you had a car accident story? Where in your life have you not listened and, the universe has smacked you in the face to get you to listen? What's something that your intuition showed you that you maybe did the opposite of? Or maybe you trusted and it was like, whoa, good thing I listened to that. So pay attention to these things because this is how your intuition communicates with you. This is how you can learn to grow stronger communication with yourself, your intuition, your inner knowing, your inner guidance. This is how we really learn to trust our gut, trust those feelings that we got. I didn't need to go to Calgary that day. I could have turned around. I could have waited 30 minutes for a different car. Who knows what would have happened? But, now I had that experience and I'll always remember it. And mine was pretty low on the bad things that could happen scale, but it was still really scary and nerve-wracking, and it was just a bad experience from the moment I picked up the car to the moment I brought it back. And just, having to deal with insurance afterwards and having to deal with all of those things could have all been avoided if I just paid attention. So this is my reminder for you. Where in your life are you not paying attention? Where in your life are you not listening to your intuition, to your inner guidance, to your inner knowing, to that voice inside, that pull in your belly that's saying yes or no? And maybe it's screaming at you, maybe it's a whisper, but pay attention. Our intuition is literally there because it used to keep us alive. That fight or flight, that primal instincts are so important. Do not ignore them. So I really wanted to talk about that this week because I feel like we all need that reminder. We all needed that little story to be like, you know what? I am being guided. I do have knowledge. I do have an intuition that I can use. I do have that inner voice that I can follow. So just remember that it always has your best interest at heart. And if you don't listen, you're going to get a smack in the face lesson. Another thing that came up in the records this week was about if you close your eyes and you kept running into a wall and you were just getting angry that you were running into the wall and you kept your eyes closed, but you kept running into the wall over and over and over again. And someone could just say, hey, open your eyes, and you wouldn't run into the wall anymore. It's like, oh yeah, duh. But sometimes we need someone else to be like, open your eyes, look in front of you, see what's happening. So this is your reminder to open your eyes. Stop running into the wall over and over and over again. Open your eyes. Figure it out. Listen to your body. Listen to your intuition. So I hope that helped you. I hope that brought to light somewhere in your life where you're not listening to your intuition or your inner guidance, your inner knowledge, wisdom, whatever you want to call it. But it is there to guide us. And then when we're not going to listen, it is there to teach us lessons. So that is what I was really being called to share this week. If you want to connect with me, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Medium in the Middle. If you would like to book an appointment with me, I offer in-person Reiki and Psych K sessions in Banff, Alberta, or online, I offer distance Reiki, distance Psych K, distance Akashic Records, as well as a new offering I just put out. It's called the Energy Combo. It's 30 minutes Psych K, 30 minutes distance Reiki. So in the hour, you get a little taste of both, and I think it's a really fun way to just experience a few different things in a little power hour. So that can all be booked on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com, but all the links for you will be linked below in the show notes. Super easy, you can click it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast. I release new episodes every Tuesday, and I will pop right up in your library. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you next week. Bye!